Back on Inside Tennessee, you are looking a map of the 2nd Congressional District, and it represents about 780,000 people in that light green blob. One of the people who would like to represent that district is a Democrat, and he's running for the seat, Dr. Joshua Williams. Thank you very much for being here.
So good to be here.
For our viewers who are not familiar with your background, explain that and we'll talk about why you're running.
I moved to East Tennessee in 1978 to get my graduate degree in psychology at the University of Tennessee. I got my doctorate there. I also met my wife there. She's also a distinguished psychologist in the community. I've lived here now for 40 years. I've practiced as a psychologist here for 30 years. Prior to that, I was a high school teacher. I taught English. I also taught English as a second language. In college, I was a firefighter. So I've had a lot of different wonderful experiences. I was thinking I've had a rich life. It's just not over yet. As a psychologist, I was very fortunate to run a mental health center in Blount County, the old Overlook Mental Health Center. I worked there for a year before Children's Hospital called me and asked if I would like to come over and start their behavioral services. They literally had an unfinished 4th floor in the hospital, and they wanted psychiatry to move in. And so I worked as the director of psychiatry at East Tennessee Children's Hospital for 11 years. When we closed that program, it was a death in the family. I mourned for at least 2 years. It was a wonderful experience. I remain active. I've also been active in civics in the area. I helped start Tennessee Voices for Children with Tipper Gore in the 80s and 90s. I've been on the board of the Tennessee Justice Center fighting for Medicaid rights for citizens. I was on the Blount County Foster Care Review Board for 8 years. I've been very committed to this community, participated in Leadership Knoxville and so on. I still work in the hospitals, although not at Children's Hospital. I'm the only psychologist in Knoxville who makes what we call behavioral medicine rounds. I see patients at the Tenova Hospital in Powell, at the old St. Mary's Hospital, at Fort Sanders Hospital, and UT Hospital. I wish I could clone myself because there are many, many more people that need to be seen than I can possibly get to. But that's part of why I'm running for Congress, is those patients and what they've been telling me for 30 years.
And what is that?
Well, I have patients in hospital beds who are there with end-of-life issues, with chronic disease, with trauma, acute injuries, and they're crying out in pain. They're wondering, will they survive? Will they be able to get a prosthetic limb, whatever it is? And then on top of that, they're wondering if they're going bankrupt. They're wondering if they're going to have a job when they get home. They're wondering if they have to go to a nursing home. Do you know about Medicare spend down? They have to get rid of everything they own except for $3,000. So you lose your lifetime of work because you're infirm. That's not the way this country's supposed to run. So as a caring professional, as someone who's looked forward for people all my life, because people have taken very good care of me all my life, I just said, it's time, it's time. I often ask big audiences, how crazy does it have to get in Washington, D.C. before we call in the mental health professionals?
That call should have been made 30 years ago.
Yeah, perhaps.
So, Josh, it's interesting. This is the first time you've run for public office.
That's correct.
It's a big step. Why Congress? Why not school board or county commission, or maybe an intermediate step to wet your toe, so to speak?
You know, when I was in college, I actually worked in a congressional office, so I had some familiarity with how the thing works. And I worked in the offices of Bella Abzug, a congresswoman of some renown in the 70s. I worked in her office in 1972, a very early feminist, the mother of Title IX, someone who was assigned to a committee that might not have matched her, the Transportation Committee, and we now have sidewalk cuts for wheelchairs because of Bella Abzug. She passed more legislation in her freshman year than anyone else in the history of Congress. So I had a role model. A prominent Republican politician in this area asked me why not run for county mayor, for instance. And I said, you know, I have great admiration for people who hold those offices, but my skill set has more to do with effective policy, because I've seen how policies affect people in the hospitals. I've seen how it affected my students in the classroom. And so I think I have something to say for those people. And so it is a big step. I've never run for office before. I've been president of the Tennessee Psychological Association, the Knoxville area but those
just mean you're late to the meeting, Josh.
That's exactly right. They all stepped back and I stepped forward. But it was an honor to serve there as well. So, yes.
Just going to ask you about, you talked about your patients and the people that you see that have problems. Is opioid addiction one of those things that you're seeing? And what is your what are your thoughts about what we can do in the country to solve?
Yeah, this is a blight, a scourge that we've never seen the likes of, and it was fostered by the medical profession to a great extent, so that we have people now who are addicts that never intended to become addicts. And I'm frustrated as a healthcare provider when I hear the programs that are being suggested, because they're all $1 late, a day short. They're all short-term stopgap fixes. Anyone who's had an alcoholic in the family who's gone through AA knows that that person, that drug addict or that alcoholic, says for the rest of their life, I'm a drug addict, I'm an alcoholic. It's a lifetime of recovery. And so we have the governor talking about $31 million for a very short-term, mostly law enforcement based program. It's short-sighted. That's an issue I have with Congress in general because of the quick turnaround, because people are always running for office. We don't take long-term solutions.
We're going to get to more questions. We've got to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more right after this.